Minister Glenys Hannah Martin, Minister of Education and Technical and Vocational Training, Minister of State, the Honorable Zane Lightbun, our Permanent Secretary, Mrs. Lorraine Armbrister, our Acting Director, Mrs. Dominic McCartney-Russell, other senior executive managers, colleagues, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the press. We are here this afternoon to share some information on our Learning Recovery Initiative. And so, without further ado, I will ask the Honorable Minister, the Honorable Glenys Hannah Martin, to bring remarks.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Didi Poitier. I wish to thank the media and acknowledge the hard-working team of this ministry who worked tirelessly to bring us to this moment. The recent lockdowns and shutdowns in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, in some instances in excess of 2 years, have had multiple negative effects on education. Indeed, it has been noted that no sector has been more severely and negatively impacted than the education sector. A tremendous body of research has been conducted globally and regionally, and there is unanimity in the findings that millions of children worldwide are suffering from learning loss as a result of the pandemic experience. Learning loss, according to the World Bank, refers to, and I quote, any specific or general loss of knowledge and skills or to reversals in academic progress, most commonly due to extended gaps, and the Economist has described this phenomenon as a global disaster. A World Bank report published in June of 2022 shows that, and I quote, prolonged school closures, poor mitigation effectiveness, and household income shocks had the biggest impact on learning poverty in Latin America and the Caribbean, with a predicted 80% of children at the end of primary school age now unable to understand a simple written text, up from around 50% pre-pandemic. The global disruptions to schooling caused by the COVID-19 pandemic have been unprecedented in the history of mass education. These disruptions have resulted in substantial learning losses around the world, and I end quote. Ladies and gentlemen, it is incumbent upon us in the Bahamas to measure the impact of COVID-19, which will give us real data as to the extent of learning loss, so as to allow us to craft interventions to help our children catch up. The World Bank report shows that even before COVID-19, and we didn't need that report to tell us this, there was a learning crisis. And COVID-19 only exacerbated this crisis to huge proportions. The World Bank has recommended, in this study they did of our region, to avoid a permanent impact on the human capital accumulation of this generation, countries need to focus on reversing those losses and accelerating learning. And you will hear more about what we are about to do. But I want to use this opportunity to talk about the importance of data. It is very important that policy decisions are driven by data. The testing that we are going to be talking about will give us data. That data will allow us to specifically and strategically target responses and interventions which will ensure a higher successful rate in what we seek to do. We, in this effort to pursue data, we did a survey with the Department of Statistics to find out why many of our children were not online. And we got the survey back, and we were able to understand specifically what the issues were impacting young people and children, which caused them not to be able to access the virtual learning. That is critical data for the ministry. We also knew that many children and young people were not attending school, in the thousands and thousands. We did walkabouts nationwide, every island, every community. And as a result of our efforts, including, and we were able to get data from that experience also. We were able to find out in each community how many children were not attending, and we were able to understand the most vulnerable schools and communities. Data. We then appointed attendance monitors who took to the streets to help us ensure attendance in schools as a counteract to the learning loss pandemic caused by the pandemic. I'm pleased to say that today we are measuring 94% attendance in our schools nationwide. We also undertaking research projects which are helping us to understand better how our children are learning data. And there is a current research that the University of Bahamas has underway which will help us to understand the factors which impact learning for our young people. That will allow us to devise policy strategically targeted to ensure our children perform, that the performance of our children is maximized. And finally, I would like to say that over the last several days, we have engaged stakeholders nationally. We've met with thousands, literally thousands of stakeholders, administrators, unions, teachers, parents. The intent of this very important exercise is to test, measure, and design acceleration programs. This will allow, the data will allow our teachers in the classroom to have the empirical data as to where each individual child is placed and to designate remediation or acceleration programs based upon the outcome of those tests. Additionally, and this is a related matter, we have devised a strategy of psychosocial interventions for the many children who have been psychologically impacted. This is a companion to learning loss, psychological impact on many, many of our children. The result of this psychosocial work is the result of the work of a multi-agency committee which has made a series of recommendations which will be rolled out shortly and of which I will further speak on another occasion. We believe this project will create a powerful paradigm shift in our children's learning. And we believe this will not only address learning loss, but it will redress historical learning gaps that are occurring nationwide. We are calling on the entire nation, all stakeholders, to join with us and lend support. As it is expected, this will inure to the overall progress of our country. And I thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Minister Hannah Martin. And now I call on our Acting Director of Education, Mrs. Dominic McCartney Russell, who will further elucidate what the project initiative is about. Acting Director.
Thank you very much, DDE Poitier. In an effort to advance the agenda of closing the learning gap and recover learning loss, the Ministry enlisted the assistance of the Ministry of Finance in overseeing the process to identify a suitably qualified consulting firm to undertake a diagnostic assessment of the learning loss which has occurred and provide recommendations for accelerating learning recovery. 5 companies submitted expressions of interest outlining plans to offer consultancy services for assessment and learning recovery. These companies were the Learning Bar, Renaissance Learning Incorporated, the Center for Educational Innovation, Horta and Alpha Plus, the Bahamas Virtual School. The Ministry of Education explored partnering with a company utilizing the following criteria. The company should have had at least a minimum of 3 years of successful consultancy in the education sector, with expertise required to satisfactorily complete the assignment. 2, they should have had specific successful experience in at least 3 assignments of similar value and complexity in diagnostic assessment, remediation, and acceleration in a school system. And thirdly, they should also have experience in providing services to school systems with a school population or student population of more than 35,000 children from K to 12. We looked at qualifications, experience, methodologies, work plans, organization and staffing, subject matter expertise, and the overall competence for this assignment. Renaissance Learning Incorporated met the requirements, and after a rigorous process, has been identified to provide consultancy services. The mandate of this consultancy includes the diagnostic assessment, the remediation and acceleration of learning recovery for students in K to 12 in the public school sector. Renaissance has worldwide impact and operations in countries including the United States of America, Canada, China, Australia, the United Kingdom, and the Caribbean. The team of persons who will be working with Renaissance include Deputy Director Sharon Poitier from the Curriculum and Instruction Division, and she is our project lead. She has oversight of all contractual activities. Ms. Pauline Adderley, retired Assistant Director of Education, is our project manager. She serves as the chief liaison between the Ministry of Education and Renaissance and will have management oversight of the planning, the implementation, and tracking of the project initiatives. We have also identified an implementation team consisting of internal stakeholders of the ministry who will assist in monitoring and making recommendations to our project manager to facilitate the smooth implementation of the project. Our members include, and these were strategically chosen, Mrs. Janice Morse, District Superintendent for the Eastern New Providence Primary Secondary Section, and she's our project chair. Dr. Joan Roll, the Acting Assistant Director for Arts and Sciences. Mr. Kevin Edgecombe, Vice Principal of C.C. Sweeting Senior High School. Mrs. Ingrid Johnson, the Education Officer for Primary Language Arts. Mrs. Joy Campbell, Subject Secretary for Biological Sciences at the Examination and Assessment Division. Mrs. Zen Roll, Principal at the Marjorie Davis Institute for Special Education. Mrs. Christine Cunningham, Education Officer for Special Services. Ms. Vernita Davis, the Subject Secretary for GLAT at the Examination and Assessment Division. Ms. Lita Butler Morris and Ms. Roshanda Adderley, both clerks. To date, as Minister has indicated, we have met with all of our stakeholders to ensure that they know what we are doing. We look forward to this partnership, for we believe that the foundation set by our teachers and our administrators, and we really want to say thank you to our teachers for what they have done thus far. But the foundation that they would have laid can only be further strengthened to ensure the success of all of our children with this partnership. And we implore all of you, our stakeholders, to support us in this effort. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Acting Director Russell. And now we're going to hear from the project manager, Ms. Pauline Adderley, who will outline her role as project manager. And then when she is done, we will hear from Renaissance Learning Incorporated via Zoom. Project Manager Adderley.
Good afternoon to all. As a retired educator, I am thrilled to be a part of this very important initiative that is designed not to judge and rank students, teachers, and schools, rather to find out where students are and how best to support them. In other words, the data gained, as was said before, from these assessments will be used to drive instruction. And so as the project manager with general oversight, it is a pleasure to work with a team of dedicated educators who are driven to ensure the smooth organization, implementation, and completion of this project. Each member of the implementation team has been assigned to a school district to monitor the progress of the project and to provide support and encouragement to schools. And then each district superintendent has assigned a district education officer to support this initiative, as well as each principal has assigned an administrator who is known as a focal point person who is competent in IT to provide support at the school level. And I am pleased to announce that an implementation team member has also been assigned to oversee the assessment process at all schools for exceptional learners. Yes, every student, as was said, from K to 12, attending public schools throughout the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. So it is a pleasure to work with Renaissance, a global leader in cloud-based assessments for pre-kindergarten to grade 12. We are in constant communication in preparation for a successful implementation. Renaissance expert team will provide remote training sessions for educators in approximately 2 weeks on STAR assessments before the testing of students in early February. And may I add that each training session will last 90 minutes. And each assessment, round of assessment will be about 20 minutes. And according to Renaissance, STAR assessment transforms assessment data into action steps for educators, providing teachers with helpful insights and tools to strengthen instruction at the classroom level. And at the classroom level, what do we expect from our teachers? We expect our teachers to attend the training sessions. They will administer the STAR assessment test. As I said, these tests are about 20 minutes. They are to monitor the assessment, analyze the results, remediate where possible, and celebrate the successes of students. And so students also have a major role in this initiative also. And we ask our students that we do each day to attend school every day. And when you attend school, make sure that you arrive to school on time. And before you take the test, you must remember your username and password for the LMS. Then, pay special attention to all the instructions given by our teachers and on the test. And all we ask our students to do is to do their very, very best. And now, our parents, our partners, we ask you to continue to partner with us for the success of our children, your children. And as we know, and you know, ensure that they arrive to school on time, and continue to encourage them, ensure that they have either a laptop, a tablet, and for those students who are in grades K to 3, a headphone. To all of us, while the ministry will do all that it can to provide the necessary support to all schools, all students, if we are going to achieve the desired outcomes, it is necessary that all stakeholders be united for the academic advancement of our students, every single boy and girl in each public school throughout the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Project Manager Adderley. And now we will hear from Ms. Diana Weeks of the Renaissance Company.
Hi, everyone, and thank you. Sorry, that's repeating. Okay, thank you, everyone, and thank you for having me here today. I am Diana Weeks. I am a manager here at Renaissance Learning and a manager of the professional learning team. And I've been asked to come to share a little bit about our partnership with the Bahamas Ministry of Education. We are really excited to partner with them to fulfill part of our mission is to accelerate learning for all children and all adults. And we are hoping to be able to help partner with you to make this a reality for the Bahamas Ministry of Education. So today we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to look first at the Renaissance story, how we came about, how our business got started, and how we've come to now. We are going to look at the STAR assessment, and we are also going to look at professional development and how our team is going to help support your teachers and staff with training throughout the year. So first off, starting with our Renaissance story, we are going to look back at Judy and Terry Paul. A little over 40 years ago in 1984 in Wisconsin Rapids, which is a small town in Wisconsin, USA, Judy was a young child. She loved to read. She was an avid reader, and being from a very small town, that was how she was able to explore the world, was by reading. She grew up, she became a teacher, she had a family of her own, and she realized that her own children did not have that love of reading that she did when she was growing up. So in her basement in Wisconsin Rapids, she decided to come up with a program to help her own children love to read. And that program is now what we know as Accelerated Reader. We have expanded across many different areas since then. We have practice products for reading and math, and we also have assessments. We are now global. We are across hundreds of countries across the world. We have worked with tens of thousands of schools and continue to grow that number. And we have also helped to accelerate millions of students learning across the world. So with that being said, with having millions of students that we have access to 2.8 billion real world data points, helping drive our product development and helping to ensure that we are putting the best product forward. We work globally with different education authorities and ministries of education. With that, we have been a part of hundreds of research studies on our Renaissance products, proving that we are valid and that we are a reliable resource for teachers to turn to. We have over 1,200 employees that are here helping us in our mission to accelerate learning for all. And with all of that work, we were recently awarded as Company of the Year for 2022 by BET, which is a global community for education technology. So now that you know a little bit about where Renaissance came from, how we came to be now a global company helping accelerate students, learning, we are now going to talk about the STAR assessments, which are the STAR assessments that the students in the Bahamas Ministry of Education will be administered to help teachers target instruction. Like was said previously, these assessments are about 20 minutes long. And with that 20-minute assessment, we are going to give it to all of the students. So it's going to be our universal screener. All students will be screened with this assessment. And from that 20-minute assessment, your teachers are going to gather a lot of data that is going to be right there at their fingertips. We can track student mastery. We can measure growth. We can monitor the progress of those students as we target their instruction. We can also plan general instruction and intervention instruction for our students. And not only is this assessment a great tool for helping find those gaps that students have that may not be on targeting those skills that may not be on grade level. However, it's also a great tool to use for those students that are performing above grade level. It will still give exactly what those students are ready to focus on next, so we can ensure they are excelling in their education as well. So the STAR 360 assessment suite has a multitude of assessments to choose from. Your teachers will be giving the STAR Reading, STAR Math, and STAR Early Literacy assessments to the majority of your students. We do have the STAR CBM that is available by print. The Reading, Math, and Early Literacy assessment is a computer adaptive assessment that will be completed digitally. It can be given to students as a whole group, small group, or one-to-one administration. As long as those students have their devices, they will be able to administer that in whatever way is best for that classroom. Each of these assessments give actionable data to guide instruction, target support, and forecast student performance. All right, so we're really going to focus on these computer adaptive assessments. We have STAR Reading, STAR Math, and STAR Early Literacy. STAR Reading and Math are going to assess over broad domains. We are going to have 34 questions for each of those assessments. It is designed for students from K through 12, but can be given to students if they have those basic reading and math skills. The math actually has a piece to it where the questions can be read aloud to the students. So if they have difficulties in reading, we can really assess their math abilities without that reading being a distractor. We also have our STAR Early Literacy, and this is an assessment that is created for students pre-K through third grade. It's for students that are not quite independent readers yet. However, if we do have students in fourth, fifth, sixth grade, maybe even that are not independent readers, we could give them the STAR Early Literacy assessment to find those pre-reading foundational skills that they are struggling with, so teachers can target those specific skills and get them reading independently. This assessment is a little bit shorter with 27 questions, and it includes some numeracy questions as well. Like I said, these are computer adaptive assessments. They will be given with a device. The first question that a student receives will be a question that a typical student at that grade level would get correct. And as you can see, this first circle represents a correct answer with a green circle. The next question is going to be a little bit more difficult. And as they get that correct, a little bit more difficult. As you can see, the student got the third question wrong. So the fourth question is going to get a little bit easier. As you see throughout the 34 questions of this assessment, the computer adapts to the level of where the student is. It's really trying to figure out what skills does the student know and what skill does the student not quite know yet. You can see the standard error of a measurement as we go through this assessment gets smaller and smaller. So we're really reliable, and we are really sure that this is where those students are falling, and these are the skills that those students are ready to work on next. Here's a sample of each one of those assessments. As you can see, they have similar looks to them. The STAR math, like I said before, can have a read aloud for those students that are not quite readers yet. The STAR early literacy is actually going to read all the questions aloud. The students listen and choose the best answer. These require no marking, no grading. Results are generated for teachers immediately. I definitely don't like to say grading because this is not a graded assessment. It really is a tool for teachers to understand where students are, what skills they are ready to work on, and really giving them that targeted information. So there will not be a grade that comes from this assessment. Here is a picture of the dashboard of what your students are going to see as they enter the Renaissance experience. You can see that each of these assessments are color-coded. So if a child is not a reader, a teacher can say, please click on the square that has the yellow triangle in the corner. Very simple. Students will log in to click on that, and the assessment will begin. Here are some of the immediate reports, and this is just a very small view of some of the reports your teachers are going to be able to get. Teachers will have individualized reports for each student. They will have class level reports. They can group their students and have group level reports. Administrators can see grade level bands within the school, and district leaders will be able to see across schools where those placements and how the data is looking. We also have reports to share with parents and to help teachers have those conversations with teachers or parents to understand the information they're seeing. This is a view of the teacher experience. Teachers are going to log in. They're going to see all of their assessments on the right-hand side. They will have a button that says reports. They will click on that, and that will give them easy access to all reports that we have. They even have the ability to pin their favorites to the top, so they don't have to scroll through and find those favorites every time that they log in. So now that I told you a little bit about the assessment, I want to make sure you understand that we are going to be there to support your teachers. We are going to be there throughout the year. This is getting started with STAR is going to be our very first session. We're going to come in to 90-minute sessions. There's going to be several opportunities for teachers to join to get that basic information, what STAR is, and how to give the assessment with fidelity. Then they're going to administer the STAR assessment. And then we're going to come back in and give them training on how to read their scores, how to read their reports, how to plan and make instructional decisions based on the data that they're getting. Then we're going to come back, look at progress monitoring and planning for learning recovery. Then the teachers are going to administer the test again. They will most likely only have to administer the assessment 2 times this year. And then we're going to look at growth and adjusting instruction. So we are there for your teachers, giving them the information that they need when they need it. So simply put, we're here. We are here to support the Bahamas Ministry of Education and the teachers and the staff. We have built-in unlimited customer support through live chat, email, and phone on top of the training sessions that we will be delivering. So we are really excited to partner with the Bahamas Ministry of Education, and we are really looking forward to this partnership. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Diana, for outlining how the tests or the assessments will be carried out and the results and how those results will factor in instructional program. So thank you again for that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we know that a project of this magnitude has its success on the ground. We cannot do this without our teachers, without our principals, and without our district superintendents. And so we're going to hear from these people who are going to offer their perspectives. We have Mrs. Carolyn Wright Mitchell, our district superintendent, Eastern New Providence Primary. Principal, Ms. Janice Johnson, principal of Gavintines Primary School, and teacher, Mrs. Halnika Bodie Bain, Language Arts Subject Coordinator at C.H. Reeves Junior High School. And they're going to share their perspectives because, as I stated before, this is all for naught if it doesn't work on the ground. And so in that order, Mrs. Wright Mitchell, Ms. Johnson, and then Ms. Bodie Bain.
The teaching and learning process experienced extensive learning loss at all grade levels due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, coupled with 3 devastating hurricanes that brutally affected the operations of schools, especially in several family islands, further deepening the learning gap. To address the needs of our students and to mitigate this extensive learning loss, the Ministry of Education and Technical and Vocational Training, in its vision, implemented an improvement initiative that is crucial to the learning loss recovery throughout public schools within the Bahamas. This is a great initiative. The Renaissance Star 360 diagnostic assessments will afford us, the Department of Education, the opportunity to measure and track students' overall performance in literacy and numeracy skills. Moreover, this assessment will allow stakeholders to gather and analyze essential data on students' knowledge, skill sets, and abilities. School districts across the archipelago support this great initiative and commit to ensuring that this assessment is efficiently administered and that all set goals are met. We are no strangers to testing because we strongly believe that only what gets measured gets done. District superintendents and district education officers, along with our hard-working administrators, will ensure that all procedures and protocols are adhered to for the smooth execution of the STAR 360 assessment. We strongly believe that the Renaissance STAR 360 assessments will benefit all stakeholders as we seek to bridge the learning gap. These benefits include, but not limited to, the following. Teachers will be able to identify the academic needs of their students. They will be able to drive instructions in order to differentiate according to students' strengths and weaknesses. They will be able to plan meaningful instruction and provide individualized learning experiences. The diagnostic assessment will provide administrators, teachers, and ministry officials with a snapshot of what the students already know and do not know at a glance. We believe that this assessment will also provide immediate feedback to teachers and alleviate the stress of marking test papers. This assessment will ensure standardization of a test instrument throughout public schools within the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Data information will be readily available to all stakeholders. The diagnostic assessment results will further promote opportunities for remediation and acceleration. The data will allow educational stakeholders to make pertinent decisions and policies to improve students' performance. Finally, we would like to thank the Minister of Education, Mrs. Glenys Hannah Martin, for her passion and vision for the future of education in the Bahamas and her mandate of ensuring that no child is left behind. To the acting director and her dynamic team, the work ahead is great, but I am confident that with effective communication and collaboration with all stakeholders, this initiative will be an easy one. Thank you.
Good afternoon. School leaders are indeed elated about this partnership, as it along with remediation strategies to address skill deficits. Secondly, they are digitally marked and does not add to the workload of teachers. The differentiation of instruction will meet the individual needs of our students. Thirdly, all schools will be utilizing the same assessment tool. Hence, this will increase standardization across grade levels, districts, and throughout the country. Finally, it will provide pertinent information for planning and instruction for the improvement of our students' performance in the years to come. This is indeed an exciting time in education, as this initiative elevates us to a new level in teaching and the learning process. Administrators like myself across the length and breadth of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas are excited about this opportunity. Thank you.
Good afternoon. The students lost so much during the pandemic. Even though we were teaching online through the induction of the LMS program, some of the concepts that we usually teach face-to-face were not fully taught online because it was difficult bringing these concepts alive online. Yes, the students lost through online teaching. They gained technology, but they lost a lot. Some of these students were given devices, but had problems with streaming, and sometimes the internet went out. So how do we understand how much our students would have lost? We must do this through diagnostic testing. The teachers are excited. To rectify any issue, one must be able to see what the issue is and to what extent has the damage being done. We can see where our students are at and then tweak our curriculum to fill in the gaps. Diagnostic assessments are intended to aid us teachers in identifying what our students know and what our students can do in different domains to support their learning. First step, we must, like a doctor, assess the problem. Second step is that we must take the data collected to find ways to address our learning gaps. Third step is that we can then put a plan in place and track the progress of each student at a period of time. We must remind our students that they are not alone and get them to understand that we are all in this together and we are willing to assist them to get them to a higher level of understanding. At the classroom level, teachers may have to move a little slower, teaching a particular concept. For example, if the results show that our students are weak in grammar, Before moving on to writing, more grammar concepts must be taught. A strong piece of writing is not built on creativity, but is built on grammar usage. Also, to assist with remediation, teachers in our various departments can work in different teams to create learning resource banks. Once the teachers are aware of the deficiency of the students, we are able to create our own material and gather other materials to strengthen our ongoing curriculum. The results from testing will help to zone into these areas. The final step, and the most important step, is that we are able then to celebrate the successes in the program as we continue to build our students who will become intrinsically motivated to learn. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. We have buy-in from our district superintendents, our principals, and our teachers. And so we look forward to the success of this important initiative. And now we invite questions from the press. If you would identify yourself.
Good afternoon. My name is Bertha McDermott. I'm from Our News. My question is, I guess whoever is best to answer. How long will this process take before we are able to see the results? When exactly, when it starts, and I guess how will we facilitate, throughout the family islands and ensuring that they are also, they also benefit from it as well, effectively?
Director, would you?
Well, the process has already started. We have been looking at our device inventory as well as our connectivity inventory. And so we are seeking to provide training for our team members in the next 2 weeks. We want to ensure that they know how to assess the children. And once that is completed, in February, we're going to start with the assessments. We are going to seek to provide at least 2 assessments. Each assessment will be 20 minutes, and then remediation will be applied. And that remediation will come from Renaissance, but Renaissance will also provide strategies for our teachers. So we will assess, remediate, assess, remediate. We're hoping to complete this particular process by the end of June.
Good day, Carol Campbell with Jones Communication Network. Parents of Eleuthera, or high school in Eleuthera, have called in making their concerns known about infrastructure and equipment at the high school that either needs repairs or replacement. Is the ministry aware of this, and if so, what plans are there to address this?
Yeah, we're aware.
Sorry, infrastructure and what?
The infrastructure and equipment at a particular high school in Eleuthera.
Yeah, we are aware because DDE Anderson would have sent to all of our schools, as well as DDE Poitiers. We would have ascertained what the needs are, as well as what the resources are already. So we are aware of what we have, and we are seeking to ensure that we have all that we need in terms of the resources for those children to take the test and to be able to participate in the remediation exercise. Yeah.
Are you able to give a number in terms of quantity of the amount of students that will be a part of the process?
40,000 children. Yeah.
If there are no more questions, we wish to thank all of you for attending this important.
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to say to the media, I'll just say this. We know that the learning loss and all the research is telling us, if we don't get on top of this, we're going to reap a benefit, if you can use that word, down the road, which is going to be extremely burdensome for the Bahamas. We have to get on top of it because children who are unable to read and write, who are frustrated, and who cannot move forward in their lives, that has serious implications. So we have to do this. But I wanted to say to the media, we are asking you to partner with us, if you see that as being part of your role, to help to get information out on this project and on the importance of the effort in intervening in the lives of our children. Because if we don't, I am very certain we will yield a price at the end of the day. We don't want that to happen. So I'm asking all of you, Berthany, McDermott, and everyone, join with me. Hold hands. Hold hands.
Everyone. Well, as for me, I hold in hands. But I just have one more question, if that's okay. And I guess throughout the process, what methods does the Ministry of Education have in place to combat the issues once they arise, and whether it be reading or math or wherever the deficiency is? What kind of programs or whatever it may be that's in place to address the issues?
Strategies that that Renaissance will provide for our teachers. They are reading strategies, they're going to be numeracy strategies, and they're going to be literacy strategies. And the program is online, web-based. It will allow our children to have individualized attention and, of course, be able to learn at their own pace. And so the strategies are, it's just so many, a myriad of scientifically proven strategies to support our children's learning. Yeah.
Have a pleasant afternoon, everyone. Thank you.